Rebecca Kenner is one of the top women in snooker. She's played in world tournaments, coached others, and worked hard to earn respect in a sport that hasn't always welcomed women with open arms. But even after all that, her journey took a shocking turn. Rebecca was once banned from several local snooker clubs, not for breaking any rules, not for causing any trouble, just because she's a woman. It sounds ridiculous because it is. In this video, we'll look at how Rebecca Kenner became one of the most controversial names in modern snooker. And trust us, once you hear the excuses these clubs gave, you'll understand why this story hit headlines and why it still matters. Rebecca used to play at Cayley Liberal Club, a team that's part of the Cross Hills and District Snooker League. For years, she competed in local matches, chalking her cue like everyone else and showing up with the same drive to win. But her experience in the league was anything but equal. Two of the clubs in the league, Grafton Club and Keighley Cycling Club, had strict rules in place. No women allowed. It didn't matter if you were a casual beginner or one of the best in the sport. So, despite showing up with skill and determination, Rebecca was kept out of team matches just because of her gender. She didn't break any rules. She didn't cause trouble. She just happened to be a woman in a space that still pretended it was 1955. After 5 years of this, Rebecca finally had enough. She stepped away from the league in 2018, not because she wanted to, but because she wasn't even allowed to play half of the games. It cost her a shot at winning Best Player that season. And let's be honest, losing because you missed games you weren't allowed to play in, well, that stings more than any missed pot. One season, things got especially ridiculous. Rebecca had made it to the final, and suddenly the Grafton Club magically allowed her to play. Just like that. And that's when it hit her. These clubs could bend the rules whenever they wanted. They just chose not to. Missing out on trophies was one thing, but the constant back and forth, the feeling of being unwanted just because she was a woman, well, that was a whole different level of exhausting. Now, Rebecca runs her own snooker coaching centre full-time. She's built a career out of a sport she once played just for fun with her dad, Mick. She remembers constantly nagging her dad for a game, and he gave in every time. Back then, they played at a local club where a group of older men basically claimed the table like it was private property. Her dad gently pulled her aside one day and explained the situation. "Those old guys don't want you playing here, so we've got to beat them." In 2012, they even joined the league as a duo, until the league's old-school rules got in the way. But years later, Kenner is still dealing with the same kind of problem. These clubs won't let her play in matches held at their venues. Kenner wasn't given much of an explanation either. She was simply told she couldn't play in those matches and would have to stay home. One club said they don't even let their wives in, so they wouldn't let her in either. Another excuse was that they didn't have the facilities for a lady. It was never clear what kind of special facilities they thought women needed. Kenner felt angry and upset. She said being told she couldn't play the sport she loves just because she's a woman didn't make any sense. On national TV, she shared how ridiculous it was that she had to fight just to be allowed in the building.
Is that something in your capacity as a coach that you would take a lot of pride in as well, in terms of trying to get that next generation of girls into the game?
Yeah, I'm keeping to try on asking people how we can get more girls playing. It's a tough one because, with clubs shut as well, but the tables are usually in clubs and, it's more men, social clubs. They might take the boys in there, but girls don't generally go and play there. So we need to do something to get more girls into it. And that's something that I aspire to do, is get more women playing and girls and increase the exposure of the women's game.
Thanks for your time, Rebecca.
Thank you.
When Rebecca wasn't allowed into certain clubs, she stayed home. Her dad, loyal as ever, stayed home too. That league ended up being the first and last they would ever play in together. In 2015, Mick passed away from lymphoma at just 57 years old. Losing him was devastating, but Rebecca kept playing. Snooker became her way to stay grounded. She focused, trained harder, and turned pain into purpose. She started climbing the ranks in the women's game, even beating world champions. But no matter how high she climbed, the local league rules stayed stuck in the past. She was captain of her team, ready to give it her all, but was still blocked at the door because of her gender. After a while, enough was enough. And Rebecca's message was clear. If clubs don't allow women to play, maybe they shouldn't be allowed in the league at all. Sounds fair, right? League chairman David Green backed her every year. He wrote letters to those clubs, asking them to make a one-time exception, let her play her frame, then leave. He even offered to flip match locations or stop the clubs from entering teams at all. But every time, those ideas got shut down. Still, the clubs wouldn't budge. And the reason? According to them, if they pulled out, the entire league might fall apart. The league chairman admitted it himself. But he also made sure to say that the rest of the league was totally behind Rebecca. They supported her, they cheered for her, and they were proud she had made it to the pros. Shame that support didn't come with a key to the front door. Rebecca, as always, stayed focused on the bigger picture. She believed snooker was one of those rare sports where men and women could compete side by side. But the real problem was opportunity. If women had the same level of funding, chances and sponsorships, more of them would be breaking into the top 100 or walking into the World Snooker Championship. But when the doors stay shut, it's a little hard to make an entrance. And she wasn't the only one with stories. Helen Claire O'Connor from Huddersfield could technically enter most clubs, but that didn't mean she felt welcome. One club had literal tape on the floor marking where women could and couldn't stand, like she was crossing into enemy territory. Then there was the time she beat a man in a match while 8 months pregnant. Instead of giving her a round of applause or a handshake, the guy filed a complaint. Apparently, losing to 1.5 people was just too much for his ego. Rhianne Evans, who happens to be a 12-time women's world champion, backed them up. She said women are still being blocked from playing in their own hometown leagues. Sure, people love to say that kind of thing stopped happening in the 80s, but clearly, Keighley missed the memo. As for Keighley Cycling Club, they didn't comment. Grafton Club couldn't be reached, or maybe they just didn't feel like answering questions that didn't come with a pint. Until the people making the rules actually want change, women like Kenna will keep having to fight for the right to play a game they're already good at. And that's a wrap for today's video. Do you think women still face unfair treatment in snooker today? Or is change finally on the way? Have you seen or experienced something similar in your local leagues? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And for more stories, click the screen below.